everyone, I'm Anna. In this video, I'll show you how to pick up a drop stitch on the knit side. This will help prevent a hole in your work and help you learn how to fix your projects. So in order to pick up a drop stitch on the knit side, the first step is to identify that you've dropped a stitch. So a drop stitch happens when a stitch comes off your needle without continuing to be knit and starts to fall a couple of rows. So it might unravel 1, 2, maybe even 3 rows. Now this could continue to unravel and continue to drop down, which would create a large hole in your work and would mess up the number of stitches that you have on your needles. So the first step is that you want to identify that a stitch has dropped, which can look like a big gap in your work or a loose stitch hanging without being attached to any working yarn. So you want to grab that as soon as you can in order to prevent it from dropping any more rows and creating more work for yourself. I'll show you 2 methods. I'll show you how to use your knitting needle, and I'll also show you how to use a crochet hook to fix this. So like I said, you first want to grab that stitch. I'm going to place it onto my right hand needle in order to make sure it doesn't continue to fall. And then I'm going to see how many rows I dropped. So it looks like this dropped about 3 rows. You can see the bars between the 2 sides of the piece, counting 1, 2, 3 rows that it dropped. And you want to make sure you pick up the stitch in the right order of rows and don't skip around rows, but follow the order of the rows so it matches the rest of your piece. So I have the drop stitch on my right hand needle. I'm going to take the first bar and also place it on my right hand needle. I'm then going to take the stitch that dropped and pull the bar through the stitch as if I was knitting it. This will create the proper knit stitch as for that row. So I'm going to do that again. Have my drop stitch on my right hand needle. Place the next bar onto the needle. Pull the stitch over and through that working yarn to create that next stitch. And then you can do it with the last row that you missed. Pick up that bar on your right hand needle. Use your left needle to carry over the working yarn and pull the stitch through. Now you can see the stitches match the rest of the work. I can see I still have 1 more to go, and I can continue with my row, making sure that the stitch is secure. I'll also show you how to do this if you drop and you want to use your crochet hook instead. So again, a drop stitch happens when it starts to fall a few rows, 1, 2, again, maybe 3 rows. You want to catch it as soon as you can to make sure it doesn't continue to drop. Again, you can see the 3 bars here showing the 3 rows that I dropped. I'm going to try with my crochet hook this time. I'll pick up that stitch that dropped, make sure it's onto my needle. For the knit stitch, I'll pull over and through, and I'll do this for each row, placing the bar onto the crochet hook and then using that hook to pull it through. Placing the bar onto the crochet hook and using the bar to pull it through. And then placing that stitch back on my working needle and continuing my row. So that will be how you pick up stitches on the knit side.